Welcome to the November 5th, 2019 meeting of the City Council. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Racy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Here.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Webster,
Here.
Councilman Dowd,
Here.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Here.
Councilman Wagner.
Here.
Quorum is present. Next item is a moment of silence for John Norton and Congressman John Conyers, Jr.
Thank you.
Item number 1 is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve without exception.
Support.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, could we, I've got to find it now.
10K.
What is it?
10K.
Could we move 10K, which is consideration of charter revision recommendation by city administration, up to the beginning of the general items? Since our labor attorney is present, I thought that would be a good chance to have her speak on this.
Do the motion makers have an issue with that?
Support.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is City Council minutes. 2A, regular meeting of October 15th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2B is special meeting of October 24th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Support. Dowd.
Any questions?
Was that Wagner? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is closed sessions. Adjourn to a closed session to discuss labor negotiations and a legal opinion from the attorney pursuant MCL 15.268 subsection H.
Ready to do a roll call?
Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
Yes.
Mayor Racy.
Yes.
Unanimous.
We're going to go to closed session.
So it's 8:42, we are reconvening. We need a motion to close the closed session.
Motion to close the closed session.
Second.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item number 4 is presentations. 4A, presentation of 2019 Friends Project.
Good evening, Al.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do want to thank all the mayor and council members for all their help on this project. We were able to paint a house for a couple, a handicapped couple that really needed their house painted and that. And so on our report, we had spent just under $2,000 this year to be able to do that. And we were able to do that because we had many businesses in town, and I want to encourage all the citizens to, to go out to the local businesses and support them, such as Northside that helped with all the supplies and that and gave us a great price on it. We had Dairy Queen, Law Auto Sales also supported us, and there's just a lot of contributions from the community and from citizens in Wayne. We do have in our account, as far as for next year, $4,175.17, so that we can start the project next year. And what I do want to do is ask you and all the citizens out there that if you see a neighbor's house or friend's house that they are unable to be able to paint their own house there, or to, with some upkeep on it, if you would send in to Lori Gowan in the city a nomination for next year, we would very much appreciate that, because when our committee gets back together in April, I want to thank Councilman Phil Wagner for being on our committee. We'll be going through all the nominations that we do receive so that we can paint another house next year. This project was started back in 1998, and we've been able to do quite a few homes since that point. Basically one each year on there. And this is for homeowners that really need the help and either can't physically do it themselves or can't afford as far as to do it, to paint their house. At this point, I would just like to ask if any of the council have any questions about the project. I know a lot of you have worked on it and got yourself dirty and with some paint on it from there. But if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those questions. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the city's support and help as far as for doing the project. And I really have to say something about the DPW and the fire department and all the effort that they put in as far as to support this project. They come out, the fire department, the day of the project and make sure that there's detectors, smoke detectors and that in the house, and everything is good at the homes that we are helping, the homeowners we're helping. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Al.
Item number 5 is public hearing. 5A, public hearing to discuss the transfer of 2018 CDBG funds from demolition to public improvements in the amount of $20,000.
I need a motion. Yep. Okay. Public hearing is now open. Sharon.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Bonnick. I live in the city of Wayne. I know this is, I'm just going to throw some ideas out here, although it's too late. I know you're prepared to move forward with some concrete work at the fire station. We talked about at a previous meeting with these funds. What consideration, if any, was given to some other public improvements that specifically we see on the agenda this evening? something about what is that, a power supply, interruptible power supply for Wayne PD or needed repairs to the animal shelter or some other miscellaneous brickwork at B&E building and the fire department. I was just wondering about that. I know this CDBG funding, as we know it, is coming to an end. This is probably the last we're going to see it, but I still wanted to speak on it. I think what bothers me time and time again is every time we come to a meeting, we have more purchases that we're making that are not funded under their department that have to come under the general fund. So when I saw this $20,000 here that's going for concrete work over at the fire station, I wonder if there was any consideration given to offset the cost of some of these other repairs. Now, Ms. Gowan's going to come and tell me why we can't do that, and I understand that. I know there's criteria that has to be met under CDBG funding, and I know we have a map that somewhere that explains where these areas would be appropriate for improvements to do with low to moderate income population. I have a very small map of my own. I've had it a long time. I always thought Wayne PD on Michigan Avenue, that stretch of Michigan Avenue where they're located, was a possible location for CDBG funding. And Ms. Collins going to straighten me out.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call everybody and then I'm going to have
Okay.
her come up at
Okay,
the end.
thank you very much.
Did I have anybody else? No, nobody else? Ms. Cohen?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. It's ironic, Councilman Miller asked the exact same questions, and I was able to give him an answer. And I also, just so you know, I was able to go into my office during the break just to confirm that I did give you the right information, and I did. It specifically states in the CBDG rules what types of public buildings are eligible for CBDG funding, and it specifically does call out fire stations. It does not call out police stations. The one criteria is that the chief cannot exist inside of the building. Our chief does not reside, his administration office is not inside of our fire station. So we meet both the criterias as approved by the county. As far as consideration, this money, the county was gracious enough to allow us to transfer it. So we had to figure a project out that was in an approved area that we would be able to bid out, which we did. In a time frame that was acceptable to the county, hold the public hearing and get the work completed, and I have to have it vouchered by the end of the year. So while there are many other projects that probably could be done, with the time frame, we looked at several different projects, and this was the project, although this doesn't even come close to covering what needs to be done at the fire station, the staff determined that this would be the highest and best use for the funds allocated, but the time frame allotted. I hope that answers your question. You're very welcome, Sharon.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Ms. Pratt?
It seemed like one of the criterias that was just spoken was a moderate to low income area. Was that what I heard? And that's in the center of town. So I wonder what our area is considered. I live on the south side of town, south of Annapolis. So if it's moderate to lower income in the center of our city, which wasn't that a decade ago, then what are we? Thank you.
I'm really glad you asked that because it's unbelievable. When I came and first started doing this, our tree streets, according to the former map, which is this fiscal year is under, our tree streets are the low to mod area. We all know that's probably not the case. It goes on census numbers. So the county actually did just issue a new map to me recently, and that area is no longer in it. So if anybody would like to see that map, I can always share that with you. Unfortunately, it changed for the worse. A majority of our city is now low to moderate income, We have double the amount of low to moderate areas in our city that we had before.
Any other questions? A motion to close.
Motion to close the public hearing. Second. Loud.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing's closed.
Item number 6 is bid awards. 6A is to approve the bid award to provide repair of brick and block at 3 locations within the city. The animal shelter, a streetscape wall adjacent to O'Reilly's, and the removal of 2 wing walls at the Building and Engineering Fire Station building. Approval subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor. Bidders are as follows: Jarvis Property Restoration, Harrison Township, $12,000. ProCare Restoration, Belleville, Michigan, $22,108. National Restoration Incorporated of Milford, $23,590. B&E Services LLC, Livonia, Michigan, $24,864. And Ram Construction Services in Livonia, $49,900.
Move to approve Jarvis Property Restoration in Harrison Township, Michigan for $12,000.
Support.
Any questions from the council?
Mayor Racy, excuse me.
Yeah.
My question is, why we did not combine the work that's being done at the fire station, these 2 additional things being worked on as well?
Well, this is brickwork and blockwork, the other's cement work.
I just kind of thought the cement company kind of are their own realm, but thought I'd ask that question.
Mr. Byton?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there are 2 different funding sources here, and when we go out for the CDBG work, we have to include a bunch of other documents and requirements that belong to that project. That would lead to a higher cost generally. So by keeping the other portion of the project out, we would probably be getting a better deal that way.
Makes sense, okay, thank you.
Any other questions before Mike leaves? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7, ordinances and amendments. 7A, first reading of ordinance 2019-09, proposed amendments to Chapter 1024 sidewalks.
Council? No, they gotta open it. They vote, right? You just accept it? Okay. Mike, do you want to go ahead and explain that?
Yes, please. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this sidewalk ordinance, we're proposing to be revised to include a framework for snow and ice removal, different than what is currently in the sidewalk ordinance. Currently in the sidewalk ordinance, our Department of Public Works would clear any snow or ice that wasn't cleared within 24 hours of the end of a snow. The scale of our DPW has gone down such that they're not able to keep up with that during or after a snow event. And so what this ordinance is proposing is that we handle snow and ice removal in a similar manner as we take care of the weed control ordinance, where notification goes out to the owner, and if they don't take care after the 24 hours, if they still haven't taken care of their snow or ice, then a contractor that we'll hire then will go ahead and clear that snow or ice on the sidewalk, and then we'll bill the property owner for that cost and the cost associated with them not complying with the ordinance. And again, this is a very similar manner. If this is approved by the council, we'll come back to you
very shortly with a request for awarding a contract from a low bidder for the services of snow and ice removal.
And Mike, this is kind of from last year too, where we had issues. People weren't taking care of their sidewalk. We couldn't deal with it. And so this is kind of what we talked about before, and you're following up with that.
For the last year or two, we've been struggling with our ability to keep some snow and ice removal off of sidewalks, especially on school bus routes where we have a lot of kids that are trying to get to their buses and they're having a hard time negotiating the sidewalks. And we've just, encouraged people to maintain their sidewalks, and that works to a large extent, but there are other times where we need somebody to clear that, and we just don't have the same capability as what we used to, so.
Right, and we have a lot of handicapped residents that live in the area that are trying to use the downtown, and people are not courteous to take care of that, and that could be the difference of them being able to get food or not, because we're not dealing with this issue, so it's a very important issue. Any other questions? Ms. Burgess?
Martha Burgess, Wayne. I just wondered if that also means that the ordinance guy won't be leaving notes on doors while it's still snowing. We drove down Walker Street going home last year, and it was snowing hard, and the ordinance guy is taping notices on doors. Our granddaughter's house was one of them, and it was still snowing.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I could look into that specific incident. Typically, if we're pursuing people where we have waited 24 hours for them to take care of shoveling, and then we give them another 24 hours in our notice to get that done, that sounds more like maybe there was earlier snow that had ended, then there was accumulation of snow or ice that was hardened. Maybe another snow was beginning to happen, but we were still trying to catch up with that previous snow that had left that sidewalk difficult to travel. Again, I'm not sure of the specific case. I could look into that one. We generally are trying to work with the residents very well, not to make their life difficult, but we're trying to provide safe sidewalks. That's the focus of what we're trying to do here.
Ms. Pride?
Aren't the weeds that people don't cut in their backyards, isn't that put on their tax roll?
What?
And if that's true, I can foresee that you're going to then put this on the tax roll.
Mayor, members of the council. So when we have two parts to this. We have the low bid that we take to you for the cost of hiring the contractor, and then we have also a resolution for the fees associated with us having to hire a contractor. And so if somebody is delinquent and we've tried to reach out to them and they're still not taking care of their sidewalk, then we do send them a bill like we do for the weed cutting ordinance. And then what will often happen is that they'll just pay their bill and then we move on. And then they get the idea of, we should take care of our sidewalk or our weeds in the case of the weed ordinance. But if they don't, yes, this is set up similar to the weed ordinance, that if they don't pay it, that it will end up on their taxes.
What's the timing for that?
The timing for that, every year in May, we review taxes that have, or invoices that haven't been paid within 30 days of that May timeframe. So it would be for the 11 months prior, I believe, and for any of those that haven't been paid, those would be going on. So once a year, we do that.
Okay. Ms. Bonick?
I'm very excited about this ordinance. I've complained about stuff like this for years to anybody that will listen to me, and especially for our downtown. The businesses that work so hard to keep their businesses, all those sidewalks clear of snow and ice, to be next door to a vacated building that doesn't give one rip. Our downtown is going to look so much better. Just to have all this excess snow gone and clean, and we can shop, and we can park, and we don't have all this snow to deal with. This is a very good move for our city. Thank you.
Absolutely. Like I was saying with the handicapped person, they had to go around another block and, take weird routes to try to get their food, and that's just not fair. So,
One other thing I'd like to add, I'd like to thank the city attorney for his hard work on this. We got the version 4.0 before we hammered this out, and hopefully it is very good for the city. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Mike.
Item number,
We need a motion on that? 'Cause it
you
needs to be
can make a
approved?
motion to approve, to move.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to Chapter 1024 sidewalks.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item number 8 is boards and commissions. Approval of the appointment of Walter Bender, a tropical smoothie, to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority Board to fill an unexpired term until February 2021.
Move to approve.
Support.
Dowd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9, is communication and reports. 9A, September 2019 Review and Expenditure Report.
Wish the council.
Receive and file.
Okay. Next one.
Okay, 9B is Investment Report, Communication for Quarter ending September 30, 2019.
Receive and file.
9C, Determination from the Local Officers Compensation Commission.
I'd like to move to reject this 5% increase for council. I don't believe it's in the city's best interest to give us a raise at this point.
Any support?
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll talk. Although I feel that council deserves this in the sense that we pay out of the monies that we receive, the whole $219 a month that we receive, to go to classes, go to different conferences, travel. We're asked probably more than anybody else to donate to everything available. I feel that we definitely need an extra, probably a lot more than 5% just to break even sometimes. I know I wrote a $1,500 check the first year I was on council, and I was in the hole. I was spending out of my retirement fund to finish out the year to give to the people that I thought deserved and to go to classes and things. However, I will vote no on this simply because I think it sends the wrong message at this time.
Mayor,
I'm sorry, yes.
I just want to add to that. Absolutely, I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Porter on this. I'm glad we live in a community that we have this sort of form of government. For one particular reason, is because, it's an honor to be able to serve a civic duty in your community. And that's exactly what this is civic duty. And, it kind of gets a wash in our politics today about what it means for civic duty in our communities across this country. I'm proud to be up here and serving and not expecting anything back because it is, money can't provide the gratification I get in knowing what I'm up here to serve for. And that's, you have no business being up here if you're up here for a paycheck, okay? It is about giving back and serving your community, you know, that I will pass.
Anybody else?
Mayor, I'd like to say something.
Yep.
I just want to thank the commission for considering us and giving us a 5% increase. I do as well agree with Mayor Pro Tem and also Councilman Miller that it just is, at this time, it just doesn't look good. And it's not really, if you saw the amount, the total amount that we would be getting for the full year, it's not a lot. But again, it's not worth, the controversy that it would cause. And again, I'm here because I like what I do. I love serving the people in the city, and I don't need this.
Anybody else? I want to thank the committee. I appreciate them actually looking at the council seriously this time. This is the 7th year or 8th year, I guess, or 9 years. It's been a while I've been up here. And I don't know if the council realizes this. What this 5% is actually would put us back to the wages that we're supposed to have. So the council took a 5% decrease, I think, in 2013, maybe?
It was 2011.
11? So in 2011, the council back then took the decrease. And when all the other departments, everybody else, we restored everybody else, the council was the only area that was not restored to be whole again. And I understand people's thoughts on this. I do think that it's a very nice gesture on their part. I do think that the council deserves to get paid what they're supposed to get paid, and we shouldn't have to take decreases just because of being pressured into what's the right thing, and that this is that we're doing this for the good of the community. Everybody knows you wouldn't be up here if you weren't, but at the same time, I know that there is a lot of expenses that everybody takes, and I know for myself and a couple of us that we get more than the rest of the council even of what the extra things where we don't get paid gas mileage or different things for meetings or coming to meetings during the day and everything. So while I understand that, I do think people need to realize what the council really does for what we get paid. We don't get paid what we deserve compared to the other communities. So did I have a question from the audience?
Osborne's the name, Mr. Mayor. I do not consider my elected officials a collective bargaining unit group of employees. You are elected officials. Elected officials. I would like to know who is the persons of the local officers compensation commission that arose to place this on the books that said you should be deserving of a 5%. I'd like to know who those persons are by name that sit on this commission that made that recommendation to you. Furthermore, I hear that you spent a lot of money out of your pocket. I would hope that the city, on behalf of its elected officials, would at least pay for their training. Definitely, and their mileage and regular duties. It's a hard item to find how much each individual elected official is paid. Okay? We have some people who are employees up here and contractors, but the elected officials, how much are you paid per meeting? Okay? Publicized, and also how much are you paid per meeting? Per meeting, I mean a special meeting, other than a special meeting that's called to session, other than your regular council meeting. You may sit on another board. So I'd like to see that framework posted, at least available, posted quarterly, one in each of every one of you. If you have 2 absences at a city council meeting, then you don't get paid for it. okay? And I don't think that this is the city council, as being elected officials, are here to bargain, because I'd like to know, when were you thinking on going on strike? You don't have those benefits. This is not a collective bargaining agreement. You are elected officials.
Tina, do you want to say the people, but I'll just say one thing. Your answer is 0. We don't get paid extra for any other meetings. So,
Give them the wage.
and then, how
It's
much?
public knowledge
What
that
is it you're making?
we make $2,992.50 per year, period. No matter if we have 10,000 meetings or if we have 5 meetings.
So,
The mayor does get a big raise. He gets $3,351.60 a year, no matter how many.
Mayor Pro Tem, that's
No
actually,
matter how
that's
many
actually the new
conferences.
rates, not
That's
the
the new
current
rates.
rates.
Yeah, it's
Those
lower
are,
than
those
that.
are not
I'm
the,
sorry.
we're less than that.
That would have been with the 5%.
We're 5% less than those. So you overstated.
Take 5% off of that, I'm sorry.
My pay stub, I think, says $219 and change per month. That's what we get no matter how many meetings we have
So,
per month.
so you're talking about an $11 raise a month.
And no matter where we drive, no matter
Or-
what meetings we go to, no matter what classes we go to, we pay.
$7.32 a day.
Okay, so per the city charter, the local officers compensation commission meeting meets in odd years. And so they met this year. The commission is, the members are Merle Baum, Stephen A. Beecher, Pam Dobrovolsky, Dennis Putman Jr., Don Quarles, Michael Smith, and Christine Garcia.
Okay. So,
Receive and file.
No, motion's on the floor.
Oh, you got a motion. You got a motion to, for no.
The determination made by Wagner, supported by Miller.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Okay, so we moved item 10K up to the top of general items. So item 10K was consideration of charter revision recommendations by city administration staff.
Sure. City manager?
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. So as you'll recall, and I think Councilman Miller, you made the recommendation to have, at the study session, to have the staff just take a look at the charter, make some recommendations to the council. And I did list that there were 5 or 6 of us that did go through the charter. It was about 6 hours, 2 meetings. And that group was made up of myself, Chief Ryan Strong, the Finance Director Katie Sample, City Clerk Tina Stanky, and Mike Biden, Director Billy Engineering Ordinance. And the reason that I chose those individuals is because they had a lot of items that were in the charter that they should actually help to review. We're not attorneys by any means. We were just asked to pull out some of the things, the problems, some things that we've experienced over time. And I want to thank the staff, first of all, for putting the time in on this. The only reason we did this, and none of this is set in stone, as you know, the only reason that we did this and were asked to do this is because I think that, and Councilman Miller, please correct me if I'm wrong through the chair, was because you just wanted to have an idea of what are we really looking at? How much are we really looking at as far as a full charter review? And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things. Certainly, obviously, there's a lot that would need, if you did a full charter review, that would need the attorneys in the room to look at it, because there's language dating back, and I know there were some, questions about COLA and other things. We're not attorneys, we can't determine that. This was just simply a draft document of, just to show you that there is a lot that needs to be taken under consideration. So I just wanted to clarify that, just to clear up any, misunderstandings that anybody might have about what this document actually means and what it entails, and the fact that it's just for you to take a look at. Is that correct?
Through the chair, correct. But also, I think it's important for us to be very clear about it, that there is some of these recommendations that require approval by the voter in this community. And there are some of the things that we as council can change. So that's very important to point out, because I don't want people to think that we have the upper hand as a
Wait,
council.
hold on a second.
Yeah, we can't
We
change
can't change the charter.
No, through the
Correct,
chair.
correct.
The
You just said
council
that-
can't.
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the options would be either to have an election to decide if you're going to impanel a charter revision commission, and those would be independent people that would review the charter and decide what changes need to be made, and then the community would vote on that new charter, or the council could propose amendments, and those amendments would all go before the voters, so any sort of modification of the document would have to be approved by the voting public.
So whatever's done, the
Yes.
people have to vote on it to have
Yes.
any changes to the charter.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
And am I finished, Mayor?
Yeah.
So just through the chair, so you have this, and then, Mike, I think, did you supply them with a memo as well of options?
Yes, I think it just depends on what direction the council wants to go, and if they want to go through the amendment process and maybe have a few amendments on every election cycle to try to take care of the major items, or if council wants to go in the direction of having an entire charter revision commission, have the community decide whether they feel a charter revision commission should be impaneled or not. So I know there was some discussion of maybe having another study session on that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, because there's a lot here to chew on.
Did you have some recommendations you were going to give to us?
Yeah, I think there's an email, that attorney-client privilege email that I sent to the council, just sort of outlining what areas they may want to consider changing. If you're going to go the amendment process, you probably want to do anywhere between 2 to 4 in election cycles, so you're not bogging down the community with a number of potential revisions.
Okay. Any discussion by council?
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation that we do have a study session on this, just so that we can go through it thoroughly and understand all the revisions that need to take place. And I personally also, Mayor Pro Tem, if we could also have a committee meeting again, just with our committee, going over some of the things that we're wanting to do on a ballot initiative, and also taking all this into consideration as well.
Through the chair, if I may. I agree with Councilwoman Skiff. I think the crucial decision here is, do we spread out the changes over the years with the voters, or do we just go completely with asking them to appoint a commission to do an overall complete review? I think that's the first thing that we need to clarify. And then from there, once we be able to determine that direction, we can then proceed, because we are time limited on this if we're going to do something. So I would support us to meet we have to hammer out a decision there, folks, so we can move forward which way we're going to go. Can we make that possibly that date or time this
Do we need to
evening?
table this until?
Well, I think we need to figure out, are you guys able to meet this week? I mean, everybody's got to meet before this next council meeting, because the window is very short if we want to put anything on the March ballot. And I think we have to have stuff on by, is the deadline for that, so we have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there'd be any amendments, it would have to go through the governor's office. And
when do
we've already opened communications with Lansing to try to get some guidance on what, if anything, we might be able to put on a March ballot, because there are some restrictions in terms of ballot initiatives. Some of them have to be on a general election ballot, like in a November, and other matters you could have in other election years. So we're working with Lansing already to try to decide what the options are, so we'd be able to provide some guidance, hopefully, by the time you have your study session.
Okay. And so the council could also look at some of the recommendations maybe that you gave us, or other things that are very, very easy things that we feel like we want to do, if we can put those on in the March ballot, and still decide to do something in August, and
Sure,
it gives us a little bit more time. It's just a matter of, we got to really decide if there's anything that we really would like to get on in March.
Right, if we could get it on in March and then,
Right.
at least determine a priority of the items, because there are a number of things obviously that need to be looked at, but to give some sort of prioritization to what, the council feels that they would want the public to consider, by way of amendment.
And what kind of turnaround do you need to give for the
Generally between 30 to 45 days, it would have to be with the governor's office. Well, would pass a resolution, then that would go to the governor's office, and then once they, approved it, it would have another resolution to put on the ballot.
So we really want to have it done by the next meeting. We need to know what we want to do.
If it's even possible to put on in March, and that's something that we're looking into right now.
Yeah.
It may have to wait till another election date in 2020.
Okay. Okay. So you guys need to, the committee needs to figure out that you guys can meet. We'll figure out a date for our study session, and then you guys have to meet before that. Is that fine, Mayor Pro Tem? Okay.
To the chair, Mayor Reese, can we possibly decide for the council on our next study session?
That's what I just was
That would
saying.
be possibly sometime next week in the evening?
That's what I was just said. So we can't do it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday next week. Has to be probably Thursday or a Monday, because we have things at City Hall.
Is Friday open at all?
Monday's Veterans Day, too.
So Thursday? Wait, what, the 14th? Yeah. Is the 14th available?
What time?
Yeah, I can't, I get off at 6, so if we could do it after 6, that'd be.
Okay. Set 6, 7?
The 14th?
What date are we talking about?
I'd be hard pressed to get here by 7.
Okay, 7:30?
Should be able to make that work.
7:15?
That'd be safe for everybody?
Can I get a date?
14th.
Thank you.
So 7:30 on the 14th? Okay. Right. Then do we have motion, you want to make your motion for,
Yes, I motion that we have a study session on November 14th at 7 PM, Thursday, November 14th.
Support.
and then, yeah, and then do you want to also put in there that we'll table this item till the next meeting? Or just need two different motions?
You don't have to, Mr. Mayor, you don't have to table the item.
Okay, so we just do that, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, I missed the support on Councilwoman Skiff's motion.
I supported it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's, we don't have any, I'm not sure. It's discussion on ballot initiative, stuff that they're working on. Something could be stuff that we want to put on, other things could be talking about the future, how we want to go about a charter review.
What else would we have on the March election except from
Yeah, the presidential primary.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good?
Ready to move?
Yep.
Okay, general items, 10A was approval of the proclamation in support of carbon monoxide safety awareness for the month of November.
Wish of council.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Do you want to go ahead and read?
Sure. Okay, City of Wayne Carbon Monoxide Safety Awareness Proclamation. Whereas each year approximately 140 people in Michigan are hospitalized due to carbon monoxide, CO, poisoning, and 500 people die across the United States. CO is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and poisonous gas known as the invisible killer because it also poisons thousands of people each year. And whereas CO is produced at harmful levels, excuse me, by the improper operation and ventilation of all fuel-burning appliances such as furnaces, water heaters, ovens, fireplaces, generators, portable heaters, charcoal grills, and vehicles. And whereas CO poisoning is also caused by incomplete combustion of fuels, including oil, propane, natural gas, wood, coals, kerosene, gasoline, and diesel. And the most common symptoms of CO poisoning are headache, dizziness, weakness, nausea, vomiting, chest pain, and confusion. High levels of CO inhalation can cause loss of consciousness and even death. CO poisoning can also occur when generators are improperly used, and everyone is urged to follow all manufacturers' operation directions. This equipment, as well as vehicles, power lawn equipment, and snow blowers, should always be operated where there is adequate ventilation, never in closed spaces. Unintentional CO poisoning can occur almost anywhere in homes, businesses, RVs, cabins, boats, and ice shanties. The single best way to protect against this invisible killer is to install CO detectors with audible alarms in these places and to keep furnaces and other appliances in proper working order through annual inspections and tune-ups. Residents are encouraged to learn about this poisonous gas and ensure homes, workplaces, related equipment, and appliances are equipped and maintained to protect themselves and loved ones against possible poisoning. Now therefore, I, Mayor John P. Racy, and the Wayne City Council do hereby proclaim the month of November 2019 as Carbon Monoxide Safety Awareness Month in the city of Wayne.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about this. I want to thank the fire department. I've actually had my CO detector go off before like in the middle of the night and had to call the fire department. They did come out, called the non-emergency number, and just to make sure everything was safe. But if your CO detector goes off, you need to address it and try to make sure that everything's good. But I encourage people to please look at having and getting a CO detector. They could definitely save your life. Thank you.
We need to vote on that. We need to vote.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10B, approval of new interruptible power supply unit in the Wayne Police Department in the amount of $24,951 to be paid for from the general fund.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ten C, approval of a tentative employment agreement with Catherine Sample, City of Wayne Finance Director and Treasurer through June 30th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay. City Manager, did you want to explain why we're doing? Sure. So this could be a description for the next few of these, just so
Yeah, no
everybody
problem.
understands.
So just like we have labor agreements and union contracts, the city has really never had an employment agreement in place for directors, and this is something that the labor attorney has requested and recommended. The reason we're doing this is because in the past, directors were not sure exactly where they fell. Sometimes they fell under supervisors, sometimes they fell under general, but directors are at-will employees. And so the labor attorney has recommended that we put at-will employee employment agreements together with the 5 directors, full-time directors in the city. That does not include the police chief, and that does not include the fire chief, who we have a shared chief, and the deputy fire chief, because they fall under the union agreements. So the reason we're doing this is just to make it clear so that every 3 years, at the same time that bargaining occurs, the directors know where they're at, and they can certainly, come in and work with the city manager to come up with options, just like we do under union agreements. So it's just really making sure that we have clarity for everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Mayor Racy, well, I realize all these people are good people here, and I understand where they're coming from to a certain degree, but we have to keep in mind they are at will, and we are not financially secure enough to be able to make that kind of a commitment at that length of time. We have no idea what we need to do in the coming years, next few coming years. We don't know when the next downturn is in this economy. We have to keep in mind that keeping our options open, we're not obligated to ensure a commitment of a financial commitment to individuals that are of at-will employees with the city. So for that reason, we just, quite frankly, we just are not financially secure to do this, okay, and to make that commitment. I mean, we have, had to go ahead and renew a reassessment to pay our electric bill and taking a loan out for a stump grinder. For us to go ahead and make a commitment of 3 years of this for these at-will employees, I just find it not in line with our financial goals here, okay? Again, we need to remain flexible in these financial difficult times. We can't afford it.
Okay.
May
City
I?
manager.
Yes, through the chair. The agreement states, the employee's employment under this agreement, all agreements state this, shall commence upon its approval and ratification by the Wayne City Council November 5th, 2019, and shall continue thereafter until June 30th, 2022, unless terminated earlier than that date by either party pursuant to Section 5 hereunder. Section 5 states that this agreement shall terminate on the earliest occurrence of one of the following events. A, if the employee does not perform any of the employee's duties under this agreement for 6 consecutive months because employee is sick, ill, injured, disabled, permanently or partially, this agreement will terminate on the last day of the 6th month of disability. B, upon the death of the employee. C, upon termination by the employer or employee without prior notice or without cause. The parties expressly acknowledge and recognize that the employee's employment with the employer is at will. Upon the employee's voluntary resignation from employment with the employer is D. So they are at will. That's what at will means.
Mayor, Mayor Racy, if we need to make some changes, are we going to be obligated in a severance package for any of these individuals
No.
because of that contract?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Mayor, if I may, that specific document you just read, had we had that prior to you having a copy of that, has that been in place with these people, or is this a new?
This is brand new.
outline?
These employment agreements are brand new per the labor attorney. As I stated, they're specifically being done so that they understand, number one, they're at will, and number two, so that they understand they do not fall under a labor or a bargaining unit.
Understood, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's basically kind of putting some more structure in place.
Yep,
so that everybody
understand.
knows what's going on. Anybody else?
Oh, Mayor Racy, I had one, through the chair, one more question. A total of how many personal days do they receive a year entirely? Because I see a lot of holidays, 2 additional holidays now are added on. How much does that accumulate to in a year for each of these department heads?
1 second, please. The city council passed the employee handbook, as you will recall. And there are 2 sections in the handbook that these employees fall under. One employee falls under hired before January 1, 2016. And I will go ahead and I will read the section. Employee will receive, as full-time employee hired before January 1, 2016, employee will receive paid time off, because as you recall, we switched to PTO under the new contract. Holiday, bereavement, according to the guidelines set forth in the 2019 City of Wayne Employee Handbook. The employee shall be paid for the holidays that fall on the regularly scheduled workday and are outlined in the 2019 City of Wayne Handbook as well. Employee is not permitted to carry banked vacation days into the following year. Therefore, employer agrees to pay out any vacation days the employee is banked at the end of each year on December 31st. Employee will earn sick leave at 1 day per month, and leave banks will reset at 0 at the beginning of each year. Employee will receive 3 days of bereavement leave or immediate family. Immediate family includes spouse, family includes employee, spouse, children, stepchildren, employees, or spouse, parents, step-parents, brother, stepbrother, stepsister, grandparents, and grandchildren. So basically, and then you have other employees. The rest are, the other 4 fall under the post-2016 agreement. And they also follow the employee handbook under that section as well. And it's pretty much the same. and they are not allowed to carry banked vacation days in the following year as well. So what we approved, and I don't have the employee handbook in front of me, but it's what you approved in the employee handbook when you approved that, so they get that amount of vacation
Does
time.
the same apply to part-time and full-time?
Part-time do not get holidays. No, I'm incorrect on that one. Partial, yes, they do get time off with regards to holidays. Part-time employees.
Is it my understanding that the personnel director is part-time?
No, the personnel director is full-time.
Any other questions?
Want to read C again?
I think we already have a motion on that one, so.
Okay.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed? One.
Um, 10D, approval of tentative employment agreement with Tina Stankey, City of Wayne, City Clerk through June 30th, 2022.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Need a
Opposed?
Motion.
motion to
Sorry.
approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
10E, approval of tentative employment agreement with Lori Gowen, City of Wayne Community Development Director, Wayne Downtown Development Authority Director, and Director of Planning through June 30th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, F.
Approval of tentative employment agreement with Elise Leslie, City of Wayne Personnel Director through June 30th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next one.
Approval of tentative employment agreement with Michael Byton, City of Wayne Director of Building and Engineering, Ordinance Director of Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals through June 30th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed? Okay.
H, approval of tentative agreement between the City of Wayne and Wayne Professional Firefighters Local 1620.
Move to approve.
Do we have a second? Okay. No, so it just fails for lack of support. Yep.
Due to lack of support?
Yep. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Andy Stager, President, Local 1620. I'm not going to stand up here and pout. I'm not going to stomp my foot like a child. But I will tell you this, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this council's support of the fire department. Okay? I'm disappointed in the lack of understanding, the time and the effort put into this agreement, not only by the fire department, by the union, but by Lisa, City Manager Norserini. I'm disappointed no one reached out to me when the questions, concerns. When I've extended the invitation, I said, hey, anybody have any questions? Want to talk to me? I emailed. I didn't want to put anybody on the spot. No one said anything. If there were questions, concerns, or doubt, that would have been time to ask me. I'm disappointed because this council may not remember the fire department, the union support of this city with everything we've done with Yes on Us. We had a guy that painted his car yellow. I mean, come on. We jumped up and we were all in. I'm disappointed that the council didn't see that City Manager North Serena would have brought a good deal for the city and the union to be approved tonight. Unfortunately, you didn't see that, you didn't have faith in her, whatever happened, I'm sorry. Bottom line is, I'm truly disappointed in the outcome of the vote tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Move the agenda.
Item 10I is approval of extension of the used car lot application moratorium until December 27th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Support. Dowd.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ten J, adoption of revised city council policies and rules.
Move to approve.
Support. Dowd.
Questions for the council have on this?
Mayor, may I say a few things?
Yep.
I think there were some items on here in study session that we talked about that were real concerning to some of us. I personally have a few that I'd like to bring before the council and possibly see about getting these items removed or possibly more discussion on. The first part was section 2.12, removing individuals from City Hall, that the mayor has the ability to remove members from City Hall. The second one was public comments from, section 4.1, number 7, public comments for matters on the agenda. The 3-minute rule applied to the members of the residents, I should say, I'm sorry. And then number 20 in that same 4.1, the comments from the mayor and city council being restricted to 3 minutes, both of those 3-minute rules. So I don't know if you want me to tell you what my objection is to them or if we can have some discussion on it, but I personally think that removing an individual from City Hall, I think that what we already have in place as far as, we give them 3 warnings, the 3 warnings is fine. If we can't, we go to recess and we let the sergeant of arms take care of it. Many times, he's able to de-accelerate the situation, and when they do, they can come back in and sit down and once again resume to be in the audience and listen to the meeting. And I don't agree with removing somebody from City Hall. I don't think we need to go that far. I think what we do already, what we have in place right now is okay. And as far as the public comments, I did have a member from the audience speak to me last week about this. It is currently on the policy and procedures for council that we are restricted to 3 minutes. We've not been doing that. The clock has not been going when we speak. I've been on both sides. I've been out in the audience when council members were speaking, and they were restricted to 3 minutes, and I, as a resident in the audience, held them to that 3 minutes. I said, your 3 minutes are up, okay? I've also been on this side and been listened to people when they come up and speak to matters on the agenda, and they've went on for a lengthy period of time, and it's really up to the mayor to decide whether or not they're staying on point and they're staying on the topic, and whether they need to be, asked to stay on it. And, it's up to the mayor to decide whether they're doing that. I think that we can give here a little on each. If you don't restrict me to 3 minutes, I won't restrict you to 3 minutes. We can, and we can be respectful of one another's time and also be, courteous to one another. When we speak to one another, we have to be disrespectful and try and be mindful of one another's time. So I personally would like to see not just one of them, but both of the 3-minute rules omitted, and also where we remove the members from City Hall. I think the Sergeant at Arms does a great job at that, and I'd like to see it remain that way.
Okay.
Mayor.
Yep.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at the study session, we talked about 2.12, and I think the attorney touched on this, that I think his recommendation was kind of keep it as we do now, where if somebody is getting off topic or there's a situation where they're becoming abusive, that we just go to recess. So I would agree with Councilwoman Skiff that we keep it as it is and not go with it as it's stated here in the procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that's correct. My recommendation was to not adopt 2.12 because I think the system that the council has seems to be working okay as it is, and I think 2.12 might be problematic in terms of the Open Meetings Act. So it would be my recommendation that you do not adopt that provision.
Mayor?
Yep.
So I would like to recommend that we also take this to a study session. I think there are too many questions, too many concerns. I have 2 pages here of my notes. I don't like 2.11, which requires a council member to get 2 other supports for putting something on the agenda, whereas just 2 council people can call a special meeting that costs the city big bucks. I could even understand maybe 2 council persons, but 3 are, that's just too, that falls into the realm of controlling council people, and I don't want to see that. Also, 4.1, the 3-minute rule, everybody knows how I feel about that. It's a Wayne thing. We've always been allowed to speak as long as not as long as, but on each agenda item. I know that's not the way that the usual meetings are run in cities around us, but that's the way we've always done it, as far as I can remember. 7.6, we took the language out to appoint a city council person, and we put nothing back. We need to have something in place so that we have at least an idea of how we're going to appoint. That's just touching on a few of them. I'd like to see it go back to a study session.
So do you see that group needs to get back together first, or do you think the council should go and just meet and we just discuss it at this point? Or you're fine with that?
Say that again?
Are you fine with just the entire council having a study session, or do you think that committee should have to meet? Are you fine with what they've presented? I think the reason why this is here is because none of the council contacted the city manager, or the majority of the council did not, and this is why we have it in front of us tonight.
That's another thing I don't want to talk about.
Mayor Racy,
Yes.
you know, we had a study session on this, and I thought that was the time and opportunity for each of us to be able to express our feelings and opinions about these changes. I personally think that the rules that we currently had, we went to great length and extent of developing a set of rules that will entail everybody in facilitating this meeting for the public and for the council, okay? And if there's anything that I would like to see some improvements made is our videotapes, okay? How our media, the recording of our council tapes are protected and the integrity of them is kept.
I think
Okay,
we
so
already,
that's
we already
something
did that. We've already done that at a previous council meeting.
What are you talking about?
What you just said is what I'm talking
I'm
about.
talking about,
What are you saying?
You're talking about our meetings being protected.
yes,
And we already voted and have that done that the council has to vote on this forever.
no, we're talking about when they were missing twice, missing, or
What are you talking about missing?
we're talking about previous 2 incidences where we had missing tapes.
I
Recall
don't know
that?
what you're talking about.
Okay, well, we did.
I know that
in the
they
4
were
years,
destroyed
I do recall
by a
2 incidences
clerk's
where
office.
we had missing tapes, okay? And I'm talking about is in the rules and procedures about the verbiage that's in recording of records and also how our city council tapes are protected and handled, okay? I think there needs to be more.
Well, first off, we don't have tapes. I mean, they're all digitally recorded. I don't understand what you're asking, because I think we addressed this. And
Well, okay.
that piece has already been addressed.
Maybe I can help better explain where I'm coming from on this, okay? And I'm just gonna tell you, this is what happened to me, okay? On September 17th, when I went and, what I thought was just a simple correction of minutes for September 3rd, okay? And, I generally thought I heard what you said. I wrote it down, okay? And, I took that information home, and I thought that's what you said about how to set up these two committees for rules and procedures and for ballot initiatives. 4 council people on one committee and 2 on the other, and you're going to also join the other 2 for these committees, okay? And I'll be honest with you, I thought I made a mistake. I remember I went home that night of the 17th, and I went and looked up my notes because I went and wrote it, okay? I wrote it, okay? You see me in the tape of the September 3rd writing this note
Okay.
to myself. Hear me out.
I'm listening.
And I wrote down because I wanted to remember who I was going to be sitting with, okay? So I thought, okay, maybe I made a mistake. But then further down, I come to find out that there was residents at that September 3rd meeting that also heard something different than what is currently on that tape. Even some of them, which are pretty good at taking notes, the notes even collaborated with what I'm telling you now, okay?
So you're
They did not- they did not-
you're
please
making
don't
an
interrupt
accusation.
me.
Wait a second,
Please.
you're making an accusation that we
No,
changed
no,
the tape.
I'm just telling you.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just telling you the facts of what has occurred to me, okay? So just
Okay.
hold right there, okay? All right, stop interrupting me.
Well, you need to be
Right.
respectful.
Please, excuse me, I am being respectful.
Not really.
I'm trying to explain to you why my concern about these media tapes, okay? All right? So then, another incident happened. A council person asked me, when can we meet for the committee? Okay? And I says, no, I don't think we can, there's 4 of us. And the reply was, Webster is no longer on it, okay? So I thought, again, something that's not adding up. And then the night of September 17th, okay, the meeting ended at 10:10. At 10:56, we get an email that says, correction of agenda minutes, and attached to it was the September 3rd meeting. Please enlighten me on why there's so much inconsistency about what I wrote down, what some residents heard and wrote in their notes, and all the other incidences. It just doesn't add up, Mayor Racy. I'm sorry, it doesn't, okay?
So,
So,
because you don't listen, and you don't hear, and you saw the tape, you saw what it said. Now
what
you're-
I think I saw was a tape that does not reflect what was actually said on September 3rd. Okay.
Come on, dude. You're just
No,
ridiculous.
excuse me, I'm
Point of
sorry.
order.
I'm sorry.
We're speaking on,
I'm
know.
just-
Point
I'm just
of
telling you
order.
What happened to me, okay?
excuse
All
me,
right.
You need to stop. He made a
there's
point
a
of order.
point of order. We are speaking on rules and procedures of council. That's not a rule and procedure.
I agree. Yeah.
That's not even mentioned. If you would like to propose some method of protecting them, to put in the rules and procedures, if we're going to go ahead and continue with this debate on rules and procedures, that's fine, but we're not going to throw accusations and
Exactly.
stuff like that back and forth. That's ridiculous. Sorry.
I totally agree with that.
Where are we at with this?
We have a motion on the table to approve those, the policies and rules. Does someone want to make an amended motion to go into study session, or
Who made the motion?
Webster and seconded by Dowd?
So do you guys want to pull your thing and then?
I'm willing to rescind mine to bring it to a study session.
I don't think we need to table it. I think we could just take it to the same study session.
Yeah, just vote,
We could amend it right here, right?
just vote to add the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll discuss that at the 14th study session.
So you're amending your motion to add the adoption of revised city council policies and rules to the, it was November 14th?
Yes.
Okay.
Support that. Dowd? Okay. We have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm thankful through the chair to Councilwoman Skiff. Thank you for bringing that up about section 212. And for those that don't know what 2.12 is, and it was highlighted in red because I read it offline. It says, if an audience member is asked to stop speaking after her 3 minutes and does not, the mayor may have this person removed from City Hall for the rest of that meeting. There are, that is covered pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act. And I just want to kindly remind you folks that when you came into office, every one of you folks, from the clerk all the way down to the city attorney, you all signed an oath of office, a constitutional oath of office, to uphold the supreme law of the land. Okay, I'm not going to argue anything. I know it's late, but I just want to remind you, and thank you again, Councilwoman Skiff, because I hold dearly my First Amendment rights, as you well know. I've been there, held the podium in the past. I'm glad that it's going to be taken off because you do not want to violate anyone's constitutionally protected rights. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I should- Mayor. I know I just said that I approve this. I almost think that the study session for this needs to be different than the ballot, just because I think the ballot initiative is going to be quite lengthy. We're already starting at 7:30 for the,
And we can start it if we feel like at that meeting we need to do something, we can schedule another meeting if we can't get it all in.
okay.
NL, approval of budget amendment 2020-2.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
Any questions from council? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
10M, approval of final change order 2018 slip lining project in the amount of negative $4,449.60, which will bring the final contract cost to $365,113.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Any questions? Ms. Pride?
I know what the slip line is for, but I thought that many years ago, our sewer line on Courier and over by Monroe Commons and all that were done many years ago. So who didn't get done?
I don't know, this is about a contract, that has nothing to do with that at the moment. This
The
has to do
slip
with,
lining is slip lining pipes.
I don't understand, but it's a
big-
specific project. I mean, if you have questions on that, I encourage you just to talk to Mike afterwards, and he can tell you about I don't know about that, because he wouldn't have that information here.
Well, I'm just wondering how come it took so long to do whoever this belongs to.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
10N, approval of stormwater management agreement 34435 Michigan Avenue, Beaumont Urgent Care.
Move to approve.
Support. Dowd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ten O, approval of stormwater management agreement 39112 Van Born Road, Michigan's finest, MMD.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
10P is consideration of settlement of opioid litigation case 18OP 45090.
Wish of council?
No action.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to comment on this item, as council's aware, the city of Wayne is a member of a class in a class action suit against several opioid manufacturers that's being conducted at a federal district court in Ohio. It's a national lawsuit. And so at this point, it's up to the city to decide if they want to opt out of that class. They have until November 22nd to do that. They would have to affirmatively opt out. Or if council takes no action on this item, then council would remain in the class. And then Mr. Hitchcock was here in closed session. He explained sort of the pluses and minuses at that point. So I just want the council to understand that no action on this item would mean that the city remains in the class action suit. And if the city wanted to opt out, it would have to take an affirmative step to opt out at this point. Thank you.
So what you're saying is that if no council member makes a motion, it just dies and we're done with what we need to do if we don't want to?
Correct, then you would remain in.
Yeah, correct, okay. Wish of council?
Receive and file?
No. It fails for lack of motion.
Item 10P fails due to lack of support.
Yep.
Item 11, administration reports.
Thank you. Through the chair. Lori, there was a question at the last meeting about Metro Storage.
Absolutely. I believe this is about the second or third time that I've addressed this. I'm happy to do it. I did, once the question was asked again by a resident, reach out to Mr. Judge to see if there was any change in his previous answer, and there is not. The construction costs are still extremely high. So until the costs come down, or he finds a buyer to buy the property for what he has into it, he will not be building the project until the costs come down and it's financially feasible for him to do. His contract that he signed with the city does indicate that once all of his city approvals are given, he has, I believe it was 180 days, don't quote me, I'm sorry, but he does have a time frame to get the project done. He has not submitted his engineering drawings, those types of things yet, so the clock has not started ticking. Once he does submit formally to Mr. Byton's department, that clock will start ticking. And I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you. Mr. Mills, I see you're here this evening.
I'll try to make this quick. Tonight's sesquicentennial minute is on the Stinson Aircraft Corporation. Stinson Aviation Company was formed near Jackson, Mississippi in 1912, with Catherine Stinson earning her pilot's license and performing at air shows. In 1913, the family moved to San Antonio, Texas, and Sister Marjorie earned her pilot's license and joined Catherine on the air show circuit. Eddie served as a mechanic for Stinson Aviation, even though his sisters refused to give him flying lessons. In 1915, Eddie attended flight school in Dayton, Ohio. He did end up dropping out, and he returned to Texas. In the summer of that year, the Stinson Flying School was formed with Sister Marjorie relenting, and she did give Eddie flying lessons. Eddie and 5 Canadians became the first graduating class in December of 1917. Returning to Dayton, Ohio in 1920, Eddie and his brother Jack Stinson designed and built the Stinson Greyhound. However, they were not able to sell any of these biplanes. By 1925, Eddie had moved again, this time to Detroit, where he and other investors formed the Stinson Airplane Syndicate, producing the Detroiter model, which was a 6-passenger cabin plane. Building on their success, the syndicate opened their Northville plant, and from 1926 to 1929, they produced the Junior and Wasp models. On October 24th, 1929, the Stinson Aircraft Corporation was incorporated, and they opened a plant at the new Detroit Wayne Industrial Airport off of Van Born Road, just south of the village of Wayne. In November of 1929, Stinson Aircraft merged with the Cord Corporation and went on to produce the Reliant model in 1933. This was a single-engine standard wheel model which also had pontoon options available. In 1934, Stinson produced the Corman navigational trainer model, and on May 25th of that year, they introduced the Model A Tri-Motor, which had the capacity to carry 8 passengers and 3 crew members. In 1936, the company designed and built the V-77 Gullwing, and in 1939, the Voyager and Stinson 105 Sentinel models, with the latter commonly called the Flying Jeep, which was used by the Allied forces in World War II as military observation planes and flying ambulances. In March of 1943, Stinson Aircraft was purchased by the Vultee Consolidated Corporation, with the Wayne plant becoming their Stinson division. On June 9, 1945, this plant earned the coveted Army-Navy E Award, which was given for high achievement in war production. On December 1, 1948, the Piper Aircraft Corporation purchased the Stinson division of the Vultee Corporation. Piper closed the Wayne plant and moved production to Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, thus ending the Stinson Aircraft story as it relates to Wayne. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mills. Just one last item through the chair. Thank you all for participating in the budget midterm, I call them budget meetings last Friday, week ago. I really think we still have a lot of work to do. Obviously, we've cut quite a bit. But the one thing I will say is that even though we ended up a little 600,000 short of where we thought we would be, it's better than we expected, but it's not great. A lot of that has to do, and I just want to reiterate that, a lot of that has to do with these one-time reimbursements or yearly annual reimbursements that we get each year. And I just want to stress to you that after those meetings, we can't continue to function like that. The MMRMA reimbursement that we get, the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Agency, was in over 500,000 last year. We got, little over, around just under 300 this year. That's a big loss for us. That's a big loss for this city. And then the personal property tax reimbursement was down almost 300,000 as well. So that equals out to about the 600,000 that we lost out on. Our property value, our properties, are just not going up. Values are not going up as swiftly as they should. We're doing everything we can. We have new businesses, we have opportunities, but even though all these businesses are paying taxes, we don't have any ability to really do a lot of new builds. We have a few things coming in, but that's what really collects the taxes. And so I'm just asking council, as I asked at the meetings, please, 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 help us come up with ideas. And it's not 200 or 24,000 here or 10,000 there. We've got to come up with a viable revenue source, because the city cannot continue to depend on these annual this annual money when it fluctuates by the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know that, we're doing our best right now with hiring police officers. We're doing our best hiring across the board. We're budgeted for 26. I don't know that we can afford 26, but we're going to do our best to afford 26. Chief's doing a great job trying to recruit. But I'm just asking council to really, really just think about, a viable revenue source that doesn't fluctuate as much as this one has. We'll continue to do the best we can. The staff came in under budget again. They've done a great job for years. They're trying to, DPW has done their best to stay out of the general fund. Unfortunately, some of that money has to come out of the, for the Parks and Trails had to come out of the general fund, because even though the city collects $350,000 from the parks, or from the Parks and Rec mill, the rec center alone is a $650,000 payment a year. 98% of what is coming out of our bonds are paid through the general fund. That's a lot. We've been stuck with between $8 and $9 million in bonds, and we've paid a lot of it down over the years, but you cannot balance the budget when you have bonds here and budget here. So I'm just asking you to help us be creative. We're going to continue. I'm going to do a retreat with the staff, and we're going to try to come up with more ideas, but just asking council to really, really put on your thinking caps and try to help us to identify, where we can meet the shortfall, so at least we can make the bond payments, get the bond payments down, and start to move in a direction of not having to, sit here and depend on these payments that the state promises us and others promise us, because they're not coming through. And I'm sorry to go on about that, but it is getting to that point where we're dependent on one-time monies that are just fluctuating way too much for us to sustain. So, thank you. That'll conclude my report.
Thank you.
Public comments for matters not on the agenda pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act and the enacted procedures and rules of City Council. Now is the time for public comment. Any questions will not be answered this evening, but the appropriate person will make their best effort to respond by the next council meeting or as soon as possible, provided you state or leave your contact information with the city clerk. Approach the podium, state your name. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I come before you tonight. First of all, let me say this. At your places before the council meeting, I put these cards, and I'll explain to you what they are. You take these cards to Meyer, give it to the cashier, $10 will be added to your bill. That $10 will go specifically to Veterans Haven because we're in dire need of help to maintain our food pantry and the services for Veterans Haven. Also, I have some exciting news for the veterans in Wayne and around the surrounding communities. Starting November 13th, next Wednesday, at Veterans Haven, from 9 a.m. until 12 noon, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will be giving out to veterans, that's veterans, winter coats, hats, scarves, new jeans, socks, and various other items for those days. We've been extremely blessed by giving individuals and other organizations. Veterans Haven is a nonprofit organization. And if you need any, if there's any veterans at home that would like more information, we also have a food pantry, food distribution every Tuesday. We get a truck in from Gleaners. It varies from week to week, but we service veterans and the general public as well. And that address is 4924 South Wayne Road, right here in Wayne. And for any questions, please call us at 734-728-0527. And again, I want to just stress, please, if you are a veteran, if there's any veterans at home watching this meeting or in the audience, please come out starting November 13th because, like I said, we were extremely blessed with such generous individuals and groups for providing us with these essential needs to our veterans. And as we're approaching Veterans Day, I want to say, God bless our veterans. For those who have served, those who are now serving, may God bless them always and their families because they go through a tough time too when our military personnel are deployed. So I want to say thank you, and again, God bless our veterans. And on Veterans Day, just please take a moment and think about all the freedoms we have. Because as they say, if you love your freedom, think of that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Ms. Pride?
Okay, I have, not a lot, but a few. Whenever you go to a closed session, I was at home. I went into the kitchen to get some coffee. I came back and I had that on the screen. I go, oh, here we go again. They're monitoring what we can read, see, or listen to. It should say across there, we've gone to closed session, we'll be right back. I wouldn't be here if that was on that screen. The other one is, the fire department is very important to me. And I'm going to ask you, you gave a whole bunch of things to people with a objection, one vote no on all the people to get higher accommodations. Can I call one of them, 911, and have them come get me? They're not even here yet to listen. So can I call them and get help from them? The answer is no. I don't understand why the police department got, I think it was 78,000, the last meeting I was at, and now they're getting 24,000. It may be for different departments and stuff, but that's a real slap in the face, what you did to the fire department. And I take offense to it. The other thing is, a lot of people, you may not be able to change the charter by the council. You have to come to us, and that's a great thing for America. But the zoning, can you change the zoning without our vote? The answer is yes, right? That can affect the city tremendously, especially on the south side of town. I will repeat myself again. If you as a board try to put used cars down in our area, I will get on my feet with a petition and start collecting signatures.
Ms. Bunnick?
Sharon Bunnick again. You know what? Thank you to the city manager and a couple of council persons. Mr. Webster, pay attention. I'm going to mention your name. And Councilman Miller for continually pushing to open up our city hall on Friday. I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited for the working members of our community that at times, maybe Friday's the payday and we got to run down to city hall and pay a bill. I'm very, very excited for that. We really need to promote that. I know that's a test. It's a test, and I want it to be successful. I already saw your note on the door out there. Please add this to your website. Please add this to your newspaper. Let's make this is a good deal. Let's work on this. Question: when might we see the results of that survey that we did for the new master plan? I see that many of our city groups are working very hard together on this, and I'm getting more curious as the weeks go by on when we will see a presentation to council and to the community on what do we have to look forward to. I'm getting real curious about that. So keep us posted on that, and possibly that we're going to see something in the near future. This one has concerned me for a couple of months, and I think we got some good news behind here. I don't see Mr. Queen here tonight, but that's all right. Regarding our recent lead and copper water testing that was done, I believe the results have come in. Now, I wasn't tested, so I don't know for sure. I'm going to say this. I have noticed on social media that 3 of our residents commented that they got their water tests back about a week ago. So I think we got something. I haven't heard anything negative or derogatory regarding the city of Wayne. I shouldn't say that, but it's a concerning thing when we hear of our neighboring communities, Garden City, Dearborn Heights, and it's like every day there's a new one that pops up that's having some real issues. So I hope we can get a little press release going, get something published again on the administration's Facebook page, at least, something in the newspaper, something on the city website that indeed, at least I think, our water's fine and fell under some levels that I'm not sure of. This is what I did last night is I finally found this online with the state of Michigan. However, you know, they're behind on posting current information This is all about the lead testing and how this all happens and what those numbers mean. Meaning, I think that 15 is like a magic number. And if you're above it, you got some troubles in your community. If you're below it, at this time, you're pretty safe. For Wayne and many of the communities that are still online, our test results aren't there. Our test results are there from 2017. So if you could do something on that and do a little press release and let us all, everybody in the community know where we stand on that last test, that would be fine with me and everybody else. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
Yes, next Thursday when council's in study session, I would hope that the rest of you who are present here tonight in the community show up to the museum for the Historical Society membership meeting. Please come and share your memories of Wayne restaurants and eating establishments. That will be the presentation by our curator, Tyler Mall, and we'd love to have you come and share your memories of Wayne's restaurants and other eating establishments. And please mark your calendars for Saturday, December 7th. That is a holiday night at the museum with the community tree lighting. And please put it on your calendar to come again to the museum and share in that wonderful event. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, let's move the agenda.
Item number 12 is items for next agenda.
Mayor Racy, through the chair.
Mhm.
I'd like for us to refresh the residents regarding snow emergencies. It is getting cold fast. I think we're going to see a lot of snow this year, and I think that it'd be prudent for us to be able to reiterate how a snow emergency is proclaimed, and what are some of the things that we as residents need to do during those times, particularly getting our vehicles off the streets. So I would appreciate if we could reiterate that information at the next meeting.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, move the agenda.
Item number 13 is the consent calendar. There's two items. Item A is Wayne Housing Commission minutes of September 18th, and the Wayne Historical Commission meeting minutes of October 14th.
Wish of council.
Move without exception.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Comments from members of City Council.
Councilman Wagner?
Not much tonight. I believe our Veterans Memorial could still use some more help. Please join me in giving what you can to help bring that, to help that wonderful project move forward. Thanks.
Councilman Dowd?
I'll pass.
Councilman Miller?
Thank you, Mayor Racy. I just want to remind people about how important it is to have carbon monoxide detectors in your homes, okay? I can't stress that enough. This is odorless killer in our homes, if it should happen. If not, at the very least, they're inexpensive. You can go anywhere and get them. Okay, very inexpensive. They are extremely life-saving, okay? Secondarily, I had some really sad news. I was really saddened in the fact that Icon Computers is closing. And I went over there and I talked to the owner, Brian, and we've had good conversations. And for multiple reasons why he has decided to close and move on, and I respect that. I asked him, what is it that you want me to convey to residents? And what he told me was that tell the residents to please support your small businesses in your community. And the people at home that are small entrepreneurs, at the kitchen table. Because when they're done at work, they go home and they hug their families and they turn right around and they do all kinds of great things in our community with charities and organizations within our communities year-round. And I'm going to want everyone to make a point to discover your local businesses, okay? Because, you know, we depend on them for what they do throughout the year in our community. The least we can do is support them during our holidays, okay? And I know Christmas holiday is just around the corner. It seems like Black Friday happened last week. And you know what? Let's not forget these folks, because they do a lot of things for us. And, you know, the holidays is what makes them survive through the rest of the year, okay? These are good people in our community. Let's remember them and, you know, and take our Christmas shopping to them, okay? It's not too much to ask. Give them a chance. Lastly, I also want to mention is that the weather is getting colder fast. Next week, we're going to be at our first winter blast, and you know, I know it's a struggle getting the leaves raked up. You know, I ask people to, you know, try to keep those drains clear, and also that the last day for leaf pickup, waste pickup, is going to be December 15th. So I would just ask that keep those things in mind, circle the calendar, and please take advantage and support our local businesses, okay? So we don't lose another Icon Computer, another business, okay? And I also want to mention one more thing. I want to thank Brian and Jamie for their passion in this community, because they did an awful lot. I tell you, they really did. And, you know, if it wasn't the bike club or participating in cleanups, I respect the man for his passion for this community. And we ran against each other in the last election, and I tell you what, he's a good man, him and his fiancée. And I just want to thank them for their passion for this community, and I wish them the best. Sorry to see him leave.
Councilman Webster.
Thank you, Mayor. I just got two things tonight. Some of you may have seen the local Cub Scout group, PAC 247, was out this past Saturday, and they were putting the bags on the doors. So for those of you that did receive them, they are going to be picking up this coming Saturday, and all the food donated or collected is going to be going to the St. Mary Food Pantry. So it's very important. They're always striving for food, especially with the holiday seasons coming up. They're always looking for that little extra to make sure that the families that are going without have something. So if you have anything to donate, you will see them out and about this weekend picking up those bags off the porches. And finally, First Congregational Church is having their annual fair this Thursday and Friday. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's Thursday the 7th and Friday the 8th. Go check them out. They always have great lunch and dinner, and they have fudge and all sorts of goodies. So go check them out.
Councilwoman Skiff.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things tonight. I just wanted to comment on a comment that was made by a citizen tonight. I know since I've been on council, I voted to approved a floor at the fire station, for a new floor at the fire station, new countertops, and then tonight also to have some sidewalk repair done over there. I love and respect all of our city workers and our first responders, and appreciate everything that they do. And my vote tonight, if I would have voted in favor of this contract tonight, it would not reflect that I love all of my city workers and first responders. So that is the reason for my vote. I'm sorry that if it looks as anything other than that, and that is all I'm going to say about that. And I also wanted to thank the veterans. November 11th is Veterans Day. And I just want to thank them for their service to our community and to our community, our country, and thank them for all that they do. And this country owes a great gratitude to them. I don't think that we realize what gratitude we owe to them. I know that it seems as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more and more aware of the sacrifices that these families have made, and it's there's no greater sacrifice. And I just want to thank them and say Happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one real quick note here. Excuse me, Lenny and Christy Power are organizing a dinner at the Wayne Towers again this year, and they are in need of help and foodstuffs. If you get hold of Lenny or Christy, the Thanksgiving dinner will be Saturday, November 23rd at 4 p.m. So please, if anybody can help with some foodstuffs and things to help us put on a meal, why, it would be greatly appreciated. Either get hold of Lenny if you know him or Christy, or I can put you in touch with them if you need me to. Thank you.
A couple things tonight. Had a great opportunity a few weeks ago to speak at Greater Dreams Church. They had some FBI agents that came in and talked about attacks on our schools and different things like that. And very, very interesting. If they do that again, I'd encourage people to come check it out. It was about an hour and a half long presentation. There was 4 FBI agents there. And they went through different cases, and you saw video and different things to how to deal in those types of situations and how we should react to those. And it was definitely worth the time, and I'd encourage people to check that out in the future. I believe they're going to try to do that on a yearly basis. They do that with their own security for their church to make sure their people are safe, and I found it very educational. I also want to mention that the City of Westland and City of Wayne, both Mayor Wild and I, along with the president of the Wayne Fort Civic League, Vic Berra, and some other elected officials, are doing the 6th annual holiday meals for Wayne Westland veterans. And this is an appreciation. This isn't a handout. This isn't because they need. We want to try to get to every single veteran that we can a Thanksgiving meal this holiday season. There's flyers in the hallway. You can also find it on the city's Facebook page, and contact myself or call City Hall and register. You'll have to have ID, military ID, to pick it up, but I'd encourage people to do that. You can also email me and we'll get the information. But I think that's I'm really excited about that and being able to do something special for our veterans this holiday season. And then lastly, some serious allegations were made at this council meeting tonight about a past meeting. And I know that they're false. However, I'd like the police chief to contact because these allegations were made here, to take a report on this, that we're taking this seriously about the tampering of our video. And if we have to talk to the state police and have Mr. Councilman Miller talk with them about his allegations, because I want to make sure that they're taken very seriously, because this is ridiculous, in my opinion, that this is even coming up. But I want this handled in the appropriate manner and to be taken very seriously, because this is a serious allegation against myself and our city. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.